Hello, everybody, and welcome to Automated. My name is Cody, and this is a podcast about technology and how it affects us in life, whether that's at work or at home or in business transactions, anything. Technology. Thanks for tuning back in. If you do not know who I am, you can figure that out. Facebook.com/Cody.Vaught, VAUGHT. Twitter.com/Cody_Vaught, and Instagram.com/Cody.Vaught. You can also subscribe to this and follow this podcast anywhere that you're listening. Like and review. That's extremely appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in for number 5. Number 4 was awesome. I truly enjoyed number 4, talking about why we should be building a smart home for ourselves. That is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and I didn't realize how intense it was until I listened to that episode again. So I'm pretty happy about that. Number 3 was cool. 2 was cool. Number 1 was cool. If you haven't listened to any of those, I would highly recommend going back and getting some ear time in with those episodes, because this is the last episode of a series that I've been working on called Introduction to the Smart Home, where I just want to tell people about changes that I've been able to make in life based on home life and technology and how it's influencing life. So anyways, not to get too far in, but I want to get started on number 5. What we're talking about in number 5 are my favorite devices. I picked 5 topics, so 5 different types of products from different parts of the house. And I'm going to tell you what brand and model that I bought and how I use it and why I like it. And then anything weird that you should know about it. And I don't know if I'm going to really get into a lot when I talk about anything weird. I don't really want to get into that too far. I want to make this one short. Everybody's in the holiday hustle bustle, and I just want to get in, let you know my favorite 5, and let you get back to finishing up for the holidays. Because Christmas time is here. It's pretty soon. So anybody listening later, us in real time right now, we're dealing with some Christmas stuff. Because it's Christmas. All right. I picked 5 different products. A light bulb, a plug, a thermostat, a speaker, and then a hub controller. 5 different things. And I'm going to tell you which products that I bought. If you are interested in any of these products, I will show you how to acquire them. In fact, I'll tell you right now, you can go to automatedblogcast.com, and there's going to be a blog post posted soon after this audio clip is uploaded. And you will be able to find links to all 5 of the products that I mentioned. And you will be able to purchase said products from Amazon. And let me share with you that when we support these products, when you, a buyer, makes a decision to purchase one of these products and support the maker of that product, that, in the big scheme of things, supports this podcast. That supports this podcast. So, let's get into it. That's not first. The light bulb is first. The light bulb. Of course, because the light bulb came first, right? So, Yeah, these light bulbs are a little different than back in the day, right? So my light bulb that is my choice, I probably mentioned it already before in the first 4 episodes, but I use a Casa dimmable adjustable white adjustable white bulb. It's simple. It's equivalent to a 60-watt light bulb. So most of the normal light bulbs that you can find in your junk drawer in your house. Everybody's got a junk drawer, right? So you have 60-watt light bulbs. This is equivalent to a 60-watt light bulb. So which basically, if you walk through your house and you look at most of the lights in any of the lamps and stuff, it's most likely a 60-watt light bulb. So this, what's this? LB110 is the one that I've been buying. There's a newer model. So you should get the newer model. It's going to have the most up-to-date firmware. It's going to have all the shiny firmware pieces that it needs to have to connect to everything. And that just means that the software that is on there is newer and technically might have more ability than mine, the older version. I'm not too concerned about having the old version. I'm pretty confident that TP-Link isn't going to mess with me. TP-Link is who makes the Casa light bulb. TP-Link has been making wireless routers and home networking technology for quite a bit. So it's really interesting to see them get into other types of products in the home. They also make a plug and a couple other things that have to do with the home. I think they make a smart camera, a couple other things that I don't use necessarily. I just use their bulbs because I think that these are about $12 a piece. So obviously it's a little more expensive than buying a traditional light bulb. The idea is that this bulb is going to keep working, and that I won't have to change it because the light bulb goes out. And I just sit back and try to rest in comfort that it's going to be connected to Wi-Fi for ever, and I'll always be able to use it. So yeah, Casa is the maker of my favorite product, of my favorite light bulb. Words can't talk. I use these bulbs in anything that is a fixture that's already installed in my house. So as I've said before, I rent. I can't change much construction in the house, so I can't really change out the fixtures. So what the bulbs do for me is allow me to put this smart bulb in, and now I have control over that light. And it's amazing. Casa has this app that you download when you purchase your light, and you can go through this app, and it's the instructions to add a new light are extremely easy to follow. And like, I'm opening it right now, and I see a screen with my bathroom light, bedroom, driveway left, driveway right, front porch, kitchen, the stove hood light, and then that's and quite a few more bulbs. So yeah, quite a few more. So that's the Casa app. Once you're logged in, you have listened to all the previous episodes, and you know what kind of account or what kind of email and everything that you have to have set up. And you get your account started. You download this app, and you install the bulb and just get going. And then you add the Casa skill, or you enable connectivity to your Casa account from your hub, from your Echo Hub, your Google Nest Hub, your Apple HomeKit. I'm not quite sure if they're working with the Casa stuff yet. Which that reminds me, I have a super important thing I'm going to tag along here at the end once we get through this. So that's it. That's wow, that's a long time I spent on the bulb. Casa by TP-Link. I'll include a link. That'll be the first link on the automated blogcast notes post that matches up with this episode. All you have to do is go to automatedblogcast.com and look for the same title of this episode with notes in parentheses at the end of the title. That will get you to a page with my words and a few links that can get you to learn even more about these products and then give you the opportunity to purchase. So, that's the bulb. All right, let's make this quicker. A plug. My favorite plug to use, I've had quite a few different ones because I've spent a lot of time and money trying to find the best one. And I've spent the very first one that I bought was probably $24.99, I think, something like that. And if you thought about every single lamp in your house, like every bedside and lamp next to your chair that you sit in your living room, every single one of those lamps is going to need a plug. So if you were spending $25 per lamp, that would get crazy. So I had this drive to find cheaper alternatives to this, and that one in particular was by Belkin, a Wemo plug that I bought over a year ago. And it wasn't the cool thing about it was that it could tell me how much electricity I'm using, but I'm really not concerned about that since everything that I'm using is LED and very low consumption. I'm not concerned about keeping track of individual things' consumption. I'm more concerned at the end of the month about looking at the consumption for my entire house. So individually, I didn't need that. So I decided to go down to a couple more that I would end up buying several of, and most of them were off-brand. Most of them were off-brand and made by a generic electronics maker in China. That's where like 90% of the products here that we're talking about are manufactured at. I mean, that's where 90% of the products in the world are manufactured at. Let's just be real for a minute. Okay, that's not a fact, but it's the internet and this is a podcast, so I can kind of say whatever. So now everybody, oh no, you just tell me whatever. I don't have to listen to you then. No, you don't. So the plug that I ultimately have made my official plug of choice is the Amazon Smart Wi-Fi plug. That's simple. It's made by Amazon. That is right. Amazon is a hub maker, and they also are now getting into the production of devices. The Amazon Wi-Fi plug is UL listed, which is pretty important. When I said that I was getting into off-brand plugs, that is a concern when it comes to the UL listing and all of the proper electrical certifications, which you could learn more about by a simple Google search. And basically, electrical certifications confirm that a product meets certain technical specifications to where it's considered safe and able to be plugged in and used by these alliances and organizations that are set together to set these standards, and it's basically what considers it safe or not. I'm not guaranteeing anybody that any products that are or are not listed will or will not burn your house down. But that's a super important thing to consider when you're buying a cheaper electronic product, is that there's a reason it's cheaper, is because it's probably made with cheaper stuff on the inside, which means it might not do its job. Its job is to control 120 volts without burning your house down. So, all that to be said, make sure that when you're looking at products that are being powered and switching on and off 120 volts, which is the amount of volts that's in your wall outlet, you want to make sure that that's UL listed and considered safe and able to be used, because you don't want to burn your house down. If you get a product that doesn't have the proper electrical certifications, I'm not an insurance agent, but your insurance might say, looks like you were using some non-certified devices. We're not going to cover your house. So that's something you need to look at and make sure that you're on the right track with purchasing, is something that's certified. So the Amazon Smart Plug had all the certifications that I wanted it to have for me to be able to feel comfortable to consider it safe. And if Amazon is putting their name on it and the certifications, at this point in my life, I trust Amazon that they're not going to burn my house down with their plug. So, I use it on lamps. Like I said in the last episode, I have some scent warmers that basically, yeah, whenever I'm home and I decide to turn on the scent warmers, I can turn them on when I'm home and they don't have to be on while I'm gone, because that's a waste of all that oil inside of those scent machines. And I like the flexibility of being able to control a plug on and off. The possibilities are pretty much like endless with what you can do, as with all of these products we talk about. Whoops. That's staying in. One thing to consider in the kitchen is the amount of power that your products are going to draw. So if you want to plug in like a George Foreman or something like that, like I have my George Foreman plugged into a smart plug, because that's one of those kitchen products that you don't have to press buttons to turn it on. All you have to do is plug it in and it just starts working. So whenever it gets clicked on by a plug, that's perfect. It's pretty cool to be able to flip on the George Foreman from like the living room and then walk in a couple minutes later and it be warm and ready to go. Yeah, next level, right? And like coffee makers, they make Alexa coffee makers. So or smart coffee makers. So if you're looking into a coffee maker, I would just look for one that connects to one of your voice assistants. I wouldn't be trying to use a plug on a coffee maker unless you have a coffee maker that it works good on as soon as you plug it in. Yeah, plugs. We're spending too much time on these. Sorry. The thermostat. No, plugs. Plugs were done. Plugs were done. I don't think there's anything else I need to say about the plugs. I think I pretty much stated my case. Make sure you get something that's not burning your house down. Okay, moving on to thermostats. My thermostat of choice that I have had installed for over a year is the Nest Learning Thermostat. You can simply Google Nest Learning Thermostat to learn more about it, or you could find the link on automatedblogcast.com. And that product is awesome. That is again another next level item of control that you are able to give yourself once you have that in place. It's a little spicy to get into. There are other alternatives like Ecobee. That's the next. That's one that's kind of more in the books with Amazon. There's a little bit more integration between the Ecobee setup and Amazon setup when it comes to routines and stuff like that. Nest is obviously part of Google now, so the Google Nest relationship is rock solid. So now, in fact, when you get new Nest products, you have to set it up with a Google Nest account, which is basically just a Google home control account, which is the same exact thing as your Gmail account. It's all tied together. The big old Google. So Google owns Nest. I like that product in my house. It works quite all right for me with my Amazon Echo setup, and it's pretty simple. It's there's no controls on it except for the main left and right dial, and you push it in. Like you spin the thing to the left to make the temperature go down, spin it to the right, make the temperature go up, and then you can navigate through just a couple of simple menu options by pressing the full face of the device in as like an enter button, and then you spin it back and forth, and it's super easy to navigate. I don't spend pretty much any time at all trying to deal with this thing, and it's been set up for a year, and it has ran itself through both seasons. No transitions really that I had to deal with. The only thing that I do, just because I'm curious and I want to know, is I get on there, look at my this is something individually that I can find information about the consumption of electricity that I like. Because your air control, your HVAC system is a pretty big deal, and probably what you're spending most of your money on when it comes to utilities is climate control, maybe like right behind electrical usage, or internet or something like that. But yeah, heating and cooling, it's very intuitive to get on the phone app, and you can. In fact, I'm going to open it up right now and talk about it for a second. But my favorite part about it is that in the wintertime, and even the, well, I guess both. Come on, connect, friend. There we go. So, like, I can open up my thermostat and I can look at the history tab and I can see how many hours each day over the last, 2 weeks. Basically, of how your adjustment caused. Yeah. Of how much usage that or of how much, man, words right now are insane. How much I've used my HVAC system. That's what I can see when I go to the history page. And like on the warm days, you can see that it was as low as 3 hours. And on the cooler days, when it was probably 0 and 10 degrees outside, I can see that my heat was on for 8 hours that full day. And you can even go through and see, it'll calculate the amount, what the temperature is outside, and then what your set temperature is, and then it will compare that to the amount of usage, and then it'll show you if you were eco-friendly or not that day, I guess. Eco-friendly? That's a weird word, because then it makes it feel like you're not being friendly when you're not being eco-friendly. Eco. Economical. Let's just say that. It shows you a little green leaf when you're being economical about your situation, and it's saying, hey, you have done something cool this day. You've used less energy than what you could have in another situation if you would have made a different type of adjustment. So that's what it comes to, the learning part. You can set it up to go into learning mode, which I have learning mode turned off now because I pretty much have it dialed in the way that I want my house to be ran, because I have that kind of authority. But I have learning mode turned off because learning mode does all sorts of interesting stuff. Paying attention to the location of your phone, and it does that through the Nest app that you connect to Control. So paying attention to how often you're at the house, paying attention to when you're leaving and when it thinks you're coming home. You can have it set up to assume that you're coming home at a certain time or what have you. And you can set a schedule to where you directly control what we're doing with the temperature throughout the day, the week. And you can, I think you can switch to different schedules depending on what's going on. Maybe not. Maybe that's a different app I'm thinking of. But you can do some cool stuff. Something cool that I do with Nest and IFT, I've talked about before, ifttt.com, if this then that. What I have set up is called a trigger from IFT to call Nest and say, well, I say call, I don't mean somebody's picking up a phone. I'm saying we're sending out information to Nest from IFT when I command this trigger. So I have my Alexa system set up with my IFT account. It's a huge circle. It's a massive circle of connected accounts that makes all this happen. So I have it set up to where when I'm in my house, I can say, hey, Echo, trigger the blower. And what that does is it sends a command from Amazon to IFT, and then IFT goes, okay, you just said trigger the blower. And then IFT knows when I say trigger the blower and it gets that command, that it sends a different command to it forwards that command, actually. Let's go with that selection of words. It forwards that command from my voice assistant to Nest, and it turns on the fan only for 15 minutes. I know that sounds a little deep, but basically what it means is I can be sitting there and I can be like, wow, I could like look around and Well, I mean, that's not very realistic because you don't really do that. But if you're in the room, it's a weird day, the temperature outside, so the air's kind of just been sitting in the room and in the house. And maybe you just kind of want to kind of mess up the air a little bit, move some air around, and just get some fresh air moving. It's good to get your air system running and just pushing some air through the house. So that's pretty cool that I can trigger that with voice and basically turn on a full home fan for 15 minutes or whatever I set it up as, but just by voice control. So you can control temperature directly from the Amazon Echo setup, but you can't control fan only. In fact, you can only control the thermostat temperature. Yeah, it's only the temperature from the Amazon app. So what that means is you have a lot of control over your Nest thermostat from the Nest app, and then you have a little bit of control from your voice assistant. So what I'm saying is basically most of my smart programming that I've done myself, and basically that just means the decisions that I've made for my house, I have to do that in the Nest app, not in my controller's app. I'm trying to make sure I don't lose anybody on that. And that really the only thing that my voice assistant is doing to my Nest thermostat is changing the number, which is just the temperature. And that's a big deal because you aren't able to go, hey Echo, turn on the fan. I have to use IFT to do that part, to tie that gap between Amazon and Nest. I have to use IFT in the middle there to get that specific fan only command. Because from Amazon, I can only try to change temperature. All right, I've been through that like 3 different ways. So, boom, thermostat. I like the Nest thermostat. There's a little bit of limitation from Amazon to Nest, but at the time, Nest was the leader in the smart thermostat market. So that's the one that I went with, and they're still making the same one as I believe as their like flagship thermostat. So I think that the one that I bought and own is still the same one that you're buying today. I would assume, now I'm unable to confirm this at this time, definitely will be able to in the future. I can confirm or not confirm. I just said that I couldn't. Why would I say it? I can't confirm, but what I can say is that the Nest products probably have like a lot more integration with the Google setup, just because Google Nest, that relationship is rock solid, like I said earlier. So there's probably a lot more integration with that Google stuff that I just don't know about yet because I need to get my hands on some of that Google stuff. So that's what I'm saying, folks. The Nest thermostat is working pretty good for me. I do most of the programming in the app, and I do a little bit of stuff outside of the main app, and that's how I make it happen. The next category of product, which this is going a little longer than I've been wanting it to, but that's okay. We're going to keep rolling with it, is the smart home speaker. Man, I never thought that I would have left the original speaker with the good old-fashioned home receiver. I thought that I never would have not wanted that, but here I am buying something that looks like a lightsaber and setting it under my TV and being mind blown by the quality of the audio and then just by the flexibility. The amount of different functions that the Sonos app has is it's insane. You can tie it to all of your favorite music streaming services directly. So your account, for example, my Spotify account is tied directly to my Sonos Beam in my living room. So that means that I can go through and I can schedule my Sonos Beam to start a specific playlist through my Amazon account, my Amazon Echo account, because the Sonos Beam comes with Alexa enabled. It's not only is it compatible with Alexa, but it comes with Alexa. So for me, That is my node in my living room. That's my hub that I'm able to talk to in my living room. Whereas in my kitchen, I have the show, which I'll talk about in a second. And then everywhere else, I have Echo Dots. But in my living room, I have my Sonos Beam because it is an Alexa device. It has a couple limitations. It can't call like the rest of the Echo products can. It can't make the phone calls. It's got a couple more limitations. There's certain announcements that it won't make. Yeah, it doesn't make announcements from the Sonos Beam. There's got to be something deep in the programming that somebody either wasn't in charge of making sure happened, or that there's a reason specifically that this isn't able to happen. But the Sonos Beam can't make announcements, or at least in my situation that I've experienced with all my stuff hooked up together, the Sonos Beam cannot act as an Alexa announcement device. However, the rest of the products that I have that are actual Alexa Echo devices made by Amazon, every single one of those, they're able to be a transmitter for those announcements, or basically just the main speaker for the announcements. So you can make whole home announcements with Alexa. So, yeah. But my Sonos Beam, I'm an audio. I guess I've gotten paid to deal with audio before, maybe. So maybe I can say that I'm an audio professional. Yeah, this thing sounds fantastic. I didn't think that I would be able to that easily get something out of a box and put it inside of my house and just turn it on and start using it without me, with all my preferences with audio, just because I'm around a lot of high quality audio equipment a lot. So to me, I'm like, I'm going to see what this Sonos thing does. I've been seeing it on commercials and listening to all the hype about it. Got it out of the box, plugged it in, had to connect it to Wi-Fi. If you don't connect the thing to Wi-Fi, then, if you don't have Wi-Fi with this product, or a reliable internet connection or a network that it's able to be put onto very easily, then you're going to be frustrated with it, because this is a speaker that does not work without the internet. And I know that it sounds completely insane to even think about buying a speaker that you cannot even turn on without the internet. But once I got through that chunk of time that I had to spend trying to figure out what was going on with the Wi-Fi connectivity, because I got into a situation where I connected it on one Wi-Fi network and it was kind of difficult to get it onto a different Wi-Fi network. But once I got that figured out, man, just the quality in the room. It does this internal DSP thing where it uses the microphone on your phone in the Sonos app to go around the room into different spots as an RTA mic, which is basically a fancy way of measuring audio. And it uses your phone to measure the audio in different positions in your house, and it adjusts dynamically with all of its internal sound processing, and adjusts to what your room needs to be. And then you even have a little bit of control over that, but it does a pretty good job. And I'm saying that coming from a background with, spending hours on a sound system to make it sound like something that I can give to somebody that paid money for it. Yeah, I'm saying that this thing out of the box, doing its cheesy little sound processing thing in my living room, for this thing being a little black oval beam thing, it's amazing. It's kind of frightening how good we can make audio, and how there's still so much bad audio out there in the world. But still, this thing is amazing. I don't really know how to put it into words, because I don't really work with consumer level speakers all the time, but it's fantastic. All right. Sonos is awesome. You get the Sonos app. Their thing is making a network of speakers and making them work and be reliable. So let's say that you have a house and you already have an Echo Dot or some sort of Amazon Echo device in each room. So you already have the microphone part of the system. Now you just need the speaker part, and say that you want a good speaker or just something that's better than the internal speaker on your Alexa or whatever device. So you can use the Sonos app, set all of your speakers up, and set up the multi-room part of that. You go into the multi-room part of that app and set up your different speakers in your different rooms and get everything the way that you want it to be. Maybe I'll make a video about that soon. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of videos in the future of me navigating apps and trying to show people what that is like. So, rabbit trail. Back to the Sonos speaker. You get all of your multi-room stuff set up. Now you can go through in your Amazon app. Once you have your Amazon Echo app, I might as well just say it. I've said Alexa plenty of times today. Once you have your Alexa app tied into your Sonos app, now you can get those two to talk back and forth. And what you should see when you go into like a routine on your Alexa Echo app, and you open that up and you can scroll down and you can say to play music as part of a routine. And then you have to choose a speaker to play it out of. So in the mornings, I have an Echo Dot in the bathroom. And in the mornings, I have the news, my news, what's it called? The news, I don't know. They call it something, but I just have the news start playing. I'll think of it in a second. I hear the weather, traffic update on my drive, which my drive, the traffic is literally always the same, so I don't even know why I have a traffic update on there. But you can get a traffic update. You can queue any news excerpts from news stations that contribute content to like the Alexa skill that they have. So for me, like I can get my local news stations if I wanted to go back to living life off of headline news. And I could say in the mornings, tell me my local news, tell me the weather, tell me about sports if I cared about sports, and then tell me about the drive to work. And do it from this speaker or from this Echo device. So what you can do now is you can choose different Echo or different speakers in different rooms to broadcast that audio. So Sonos smart home speakers that's where I would go first if I was putting a speaker in every room of my house. Ultimately, if I was building a new house tomorrow, unlimited money, there would be a Sonos speaker in every single room, and then there would be the little Echo wall plug that doesn't even have a good speaker in it, and then I would set the Sonos speaker up as the speaker for that Echo device, because that's possible. So then anytime you speak to your device, the Echo wall plug listens, and then when it's playing audio back or speaking back to you or giving feedback or playing music or making an announcement, it'll come out of the Sonos speaker. But I use my Sonos Beam as my main home stereo audio system. You can create your own surround sound, a 5.1 surround sound system in your house with these Sonos speakers, and all the audio is sent over your wireless network or over the network that Sonos creates in between its own products. Isn't this insane? We're sending audio over Wi-Fi now. Man, that's crazy. I mean, it makes sense. I do this like mostly all the time at work, except it's just with the wire. We don't ever send audio over Wi-Fi. But at my house, we're sending audio over Wi-Fi. You know, I bet it's soon that audio over Wi-Fi ends up being a thing in the professional market. I bet we're not far from it. That's all I can say about that. Right here, Sonos Beam. That's what I have in my living room. I love it. I talk to it every morning. That sounds weird. Because every morning I leave and I say, "Hey Echo, goodbye," and then it cues my goodbye routine, turns off all the lights, asks me, not doesn't ask me anything, but it tells me a few things. It says stuff like, "Hey, I'll make sure the door's locked," and whatever else I have it programmed to be saying right now. I think that's it. It just tells me, "Hey, I'm gonna lock the door in a set amount of time, and then I'm gonna remind you again when I lock it that I locked it." So, and I have that programmed in to where when it does lock it, I want it to be verbal about it because I want to hear it and I want to know. Because if I'm walking around and I've already heard that it's going to lock it soon and then it locked it, then I'm not going to walk up to it and try to go out the door. Like, I'll have to unlock the door or find another door. But not really. I would just unlock it. I'm just being real with you. But again, we're talking little tiny minute details that you add into your programming when you're doing this. So, like, that's not a big deal, but it's just a cool thing to do. But I mean, Rabbit Trail City, let's go back to the Sonos speaker. The Sonos Beam is what I have in my living room, and it is, again, fantastic. I love talking about the stuff that I like. So then it takes longer. I talk about it longer. I'm driving it in. Boom. Back to the Sonos speaker. I love the Sonos speaker. We get it, Cody. You love the Sonos speaker. Thank you, everyone. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about the Sonos speaker that I should mention, except for the fact that it was a little difficult to get it set up. Quasi frustrating. Trying to get it rolling. But once it was, fantastic. I haven't had a single issue out of it since then. That's the fourth one. Now I'm going to talk about my Echo Hub. That's right. I have the Echo Show, which is the screen device that Amazon makes for their Alexa voice assistant. The Echo Show is my main controller hub for all of my smart devices. Now, that physical Echo Show device isn't physically responsible for all of the control in my house. The app in general, my account, back in episode 2 when we were talking about those databases full of information, ultimately that's what the controller is for my smart house, because that's the hub controller that I choose to use is the Alexa platform. So when I'm saying that Echo Show is my main controller, I'm just saying that physical device is the screen that I look at that references all that data that we talked about in episode 2 and shows me all the stuff that I'm able to change with my smart house on a touch screen. It's super easy to look at. You click, it's got a home button. You go to the home screen and it shows you some general announcements that you might want to know, stuff that catches your eye as you're kind of walking around and you look over and you see, and I have mine set up not to show me headline news because I don't want to randomly come across headline news. I like to randomly come across like random cool things on the internet. So mine shows me interesting facts about also, I can't even think of anything random off the top of my head. Celebrities' birthdays. I don't know how I get them, and I don't know where the content comes from, but it generates a lot of stuff, a lot of like good deeds that other people have done that were caught on video, and for some reason I get a lot of that. I don't know if it's like an algorithm that's creating or curating the content and curating this content feed for me. I don't know if I'm just stuck in like some awesome algorithm, or if that's just how awesome echoes are all the time on the information that they're making on this little news feed thing. So I'm pretty impressed by all the content that they push at me. I've not been upset about any of it. And it's usually interesting stuff that it's I'm not accustomed to finding a screen throughout the house and then saying, "Oh, that's cool. I want to learn. I'm going to click more and learn more." But I've found myself in that situation because the stuff that's on this screen, that it's just relatable, and it's like, "Hey, check this out. Check out what this person did to make this other person's day really nice." And okay, I'll take a look at it real quick. But yeah, little things like that. That's pretty much what the Echo Show is like when you're not messing with it. It's just sitting there pushing out weird, cool looking facts, and it gives you the opportunity to read more and learn more. I've seen recipes before, and I don't know if just because mine is called Kitchen that it's sending me some recipes on the news feed to try out. I've clicked on those a couple times and followed those. Um, yeah, I use it for all sorts of stuff. I don't even know where to begin. I'm gonna open up the Alexa app. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna open up the Alexa app, and I'm gonna go through my routines, which I'm totally gonna have another episode only about routines, and only one episode about the Amazon Alexa app, and another episode about just routines, and maybe even more episodes about just skills. Like, the amount of stuff that is going on here is enough to make multiple episodes. So I've talked about my routines before, like go dark and goodbye and good night and all the simple ones. Trying to find any of my routines that I specifically only use in the kitchen, which I can't find. I don't have a routine specifically that I use there. Um, when my device arrives home, I have the Echo Show set up to do kind of like what I was talking about in the morning, with in the bathroom. But in the evening, when I get home from work, and I come into the kitchen, my kitchen starts playing that news feed that I was talking about. I gotta find out what they call that. Oh, check that out. It's called a flash briefing. The flash briefing is a stream of content that exists on in the Alexa voice skill world. Um, and what your what your news flash is doing, or your flash briefing is doing, is taking all of your news stations that you have set up as quote unquote your news stations in the Amazon app, separate from that menu. When you go in and you set up all of your news stations that you want to listen to, now when you're making your routines and you click on something called Play My Flash Briefing, then it'll go through all of your news stations' news, basically. And what that is, the news stations are actually making content specifically for the Alexa skill that they have. So if you've ever been watching TV or listening on the radio, and one of your local media outlets says something like, "Get our Alexa skill," or whatever, that just means that that they're making content that they're pushing to that product, and that's how they want you to get that content, is by getting their skill. Then once you get their skill, you can add those news stations into your flash briefing, and then you play your flash briefing whenever you get home from work, and that's how you get the news played to you automatically. And you don't have to sit down, watch the TV and go through the whole hour, just get all the headlines you want. If you're a headline news type of person, get all the headlines you want through your Echo Show, and then be done with it. And the people that are making content for this, so our news stations, they're spending the time to make it quick, easy to listen to, fast, because they know that if you're listening on a voice assistant, that you're probably doing something pretty quickly. So yeah, people are generating content for this. Just like the news stations stream their recording to, or their stream to live TV, they're also able to push it to these Alexa skills. So you're able to watch the news on your Echo Show. So, man, I've talked a lot about news and this Echo Show thing. That's just because that's how big that not that the Echo Show is physically, but that's just how big that all of the different possibilities in the app are, which is why I don't want to get into all of them in this, because we're already way longer than I wanted to be. But the Echo Show, I don't have the latest version. I have the version before this latest version, and I plan on getting the newest one sometime soon, but I'm not in any particular hurry. But if you're buying a new Echo Show, I would obviously pick up the most recent one, because the price that the most recent Echo Show is priced at is already lower than the price that I paid. It's almost half of what my Echo Show was when I bought it, which is crazy to think about, how the newer versions of products are just getting cheaper, which is, I think, a good thing. So, all that to be said, the Echo Show, the amount of stuff that it can do with your Alexa app, in fact, anything you can do with your Alexa app has something to do with how your Echo Show works. Leave it at that. So, man, I don't even know how to describe like all the control that it's giving you. Basically, you start swiping through, you find a smart house page, you can go to each individual device, and you can go through and turn them on, turn them off. So I can go through each one of my lamps that we were talking about earlier, each one of the plugs, the bulbs. I can see the thermostat and the temperature that I'm able to adjust. I can scroll through. I can look at it and I can say, "Hey, Alexa, show me the front door." And my Ring video doorbell will get the video from there pushed to the Echo Show. What else is going on with this bad boy Echo Show? Whenever there's motion at the front door, regardless of any other conditions in the house, when there's motion at the front door, I have my Echo Show set up to just display the front door. That way, any time that there's motion out there, my Echo Show switches, and then I'm in the kitchen. I go, oh, there's motion. I can look at the screen, be like, everything's fine. So it's kind of like a real time kind of help. If you're using it for like a surveillance thing, then it's really useful if you have that kind of automatic routine set up when you have motion at one of your cameras. Recipes on the Echo Show are amazing. The rest, I don't even know when they're going to stop making recipes better. And I don't think that they're going to, because I've talked about this on, I think episode 2, maybe 4, that you're able to do recipes and like you're interacting with your voice and the voice assistant is running through the recipe with you. And these recipes can be programmed to do things with products. So like we're going to be able to preheat an oven from these recipes that we're doing. Like, so you start a recipe, and when you get past step 2, the recipe was programmed to go, okay, whenever the person gets past step 2, start preheating the oven, because we need to get that thing hot. We're going to put some food in there and we're going to get it hot. So we might as well start getting it hot now. That way, when someone reads preheat the oven, they don't go, "Ah, man, I wish I would have known that earlier. I would have started to preheat the oven earlier." But now your Alexa skill is just going to straight up do that for you. But again, that's more of an Alexa operation. That's not really directly related to the Echo Show. The Echo Show is literally just a portal to Alexa. Alexa is not inside of any of these devices. Alexa isn't a computer in Amazon's, big warehouse of servers. These are all just portals to that. And they make the connection. They establish the connection to the voice assistant. And then by the time that it gets back here, whoa, what in the world just happened there? By the time that it gets here, it's just coming through the Echo Show as audio, and that's all that it is physically. All the Echo Show's doing is connecting us to that information, and it does a really good job at it. I've not had anything that I could directly complain about the Echo Show. I think that it's a pretty nifty little device with the with everything about it. It's got the mute button on top. You can set the mic, or you can disconnect the microphone, just so you're more comfortable with privacy and audio security. It's got a volume up and down button on it. I like it. It's awesome. I don't have to deal with it. That's why when all these products that are my favorite, except for that Sonos speaker issue at the beginning, but all these products that are on the list of favorites, I don't have to deal with any of them in the moment. I don't have to put up with them. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to do anything to the Nest Hub or to the Nest control thermostat. I don't have to do anything to any of my light bulbs or my plugs unless I'm just having a hardcore Wi-Fi issue, which a Wi-Fi issue is different than a product issue. And all these products, I don't have to do anything dumb to get them to work once they're already working and have Wi-Fi connectivity and power. I don't have to do anything silly to make up for their, downfalls. Like, I don't have to deal with any of that. So that's what makes these my favorite products and why, I would claim to like them. Again, the Sonos speaker was a little difficult to hook up and get onto the Wi-Fi network, but once I was able to get that done, it's killer. It's the bee's knees. So that's 5 categories. I didn't expect it to take this long. But hey, you know what? Hustle and bustle. Got a couple minutes of some thoughts about the smart home. That's what I'm here for. And I'll kind of start wrapping it up. That was the five different things, 5 different topics that I wanted to get into of different types of products. Those are my 5 favorites. Casa, Nest, Amazon for the smart plug and the Echo Show, and then the Sonos Beam. I love all those products. If I were to rebuild any smart house tomorrow and start building, or if I was building a house for somebody else, those are the 5 products that I would start with as the core. Now, there's obviously other products that you have to start tying in once we start adding control for TVs and doors and different types of control. I mean, all these different action items, whether it's the blinds, opening and closing blinds, physical products for that, or something mechanical that we're doing, or if it's an appliance, all of these things are still awesome and need to be talked about soon. But for me, these 5 starters, these are my 5 favorite products that I started with. And I legitimately started with all of these. I didn't buy other product, except for the plug. I had different plugs, and then I got to the Amazon plug. That was the one. But these other 4, the bulb, the thermostat, the speaker, and the hub controller, I've had these 4. They were my first products in that type of product, and they were good enough for me to be like, wow, actually these are pretty easy to use. The apps are all pretty explanatory with problem solving and trying to get this stuff to work. Yeah, I don't know. There's those five. That's where I would start. Brand wise, if I was looking at products to start implementing in my home, and if you were, if you made it through 5 episodes and you got to now, or made it through 4 episodes and get to now, and you're asking me what 5 products you should buy first, these are the 5 products you should buy first. The latest versions of all of these 5. And I don't think that you'll be disappointed with them. Now, before I hop off for the decade, we're ending 2019 with episode number 5. 2019 is going to be gonzos in a few days, and it's going to be 2020. And I have found out about one of the most important announcements when it comes to what we've been talking about for the last 5 episodes. Makers of, and I'm pretty excited about this, the makers of the Apple HomeKit, the Amazon Alexa setup, and the Google Nest system. So Amazon, Apple, and Google. These are 3 big players that we've been talking about on this podcast. These 3 players, one, they're 3 of the biggest companies in the world. And 2, they're making our smart home products. Or not necessarily making, but they're leading the innovation in the market of smart home products. So, like, all the products that I've listed off are heavily influenced by those 3. And the Amazon products obviously are made by Amazon. So super heavy influence. But when we go and look at the products like Casa by TP-Link, and then the Sonos Beam, and then Nest, if we were thinking about Nest before Google bought them, when I bought my Nest thermostat, well, the purchase has already happened, but they weren't in full, it wasn't branded as Google Nest yet, it was still Nest. But with those products, those aren't necessarily produced by Google, Apple, Amazon. So Google, Apple, and Amazon have a really big influence in the smart home world. So why am I saying this? The big deal, like the big news because of this, like all these words I'm saying, Google, Apple, Amazon announced that they're going to work together and develop a protocol to ensure compatibility from product to product when it comes to smart home technology. Like, I'm ecstatic about that because that's a really big deal. I was trying to navigate through, in just the beginning of, in episode 3 mostly, I was navigating the complexity of the company relationships and the partnerships and the data paths that all these companies have to work towards. That was under, that's a big deal. And it's a good deal for all these products to be able to communicate with each other. And there wasn't any good outlook on how that was happening at the time. Weeks ago, there was no good outlook on how these products are going to be able to talk to each other and communicate from different brands, manufacturers, to the other manufacturers' products. It wasn't looking good. And then Apple, Amazon, and Google sat down this Wednesday, the Wednesday that just happened. And they announced that they're working together on a protocol that will enable all these devices to communicate with each other. That's a huge deal. That's going to change a lot about how these products communicate in the future. Now, directly, we're not going to see an effect from that. But in the future, 2 and 3 years from now, the products that start coming out, even within the next 6 months, we may start seeing newer products with different variables and different sets of data than what we see now. And those products may be able to communicate better with a different manufacturer's product. I know that this might sound, if you're not following the company science here, basically these three companies have been competing for our business for a while now in a lot of different markets, but primarily in the smart house market. The creation of smart home products are all based off of connecting accounts with each other. And when one platform doesn't like how another platform is working with their account, then they choose not to connect. So right now, it feels like, wow, all my Amazon products, I'm not going to be able to use those with my Apple type products. You know, like Casa works really good with Alexa, but it doesn't work good with HomeKit. My Nest thermostat doesn't work with my HomeKit. My Sonos Beam doesn't support Siri, doesn't support Google Nest or Google Assistant. The hub, the controllers, the hubs like the Echo Show, the Google Nest Hub, and the HomePod, those are always going to kind of be in their own little worlds. But the products that they communicate to, the action items, those products are really going to have the ability to be connected to Google, to Apple, to Amazon, because of this protocol that they're going to develop. That's why this is a big deal. Because if you go back to number 3 and you listen to me talk about the company relationships and the paths of data that have to be created to send our information from one account platform to another account platform, that's difficult now. It's a really intricate relationship that has to be formed, and that data has to be managed and be able to be sent back and forth. What this does is ensures that Apple, Amazon, and Google are all requiring the same parameters from smart home products, which means you'll be able to buy product A, a thermostat, by one brand, and product B, a light bulb, from another brand, and both of these will be able to work with Google, both will be able to work with Apple, and both will be able to work with Amazon. Now, I don't have any details about time frame. I don't have any details about specifically what types of products will be able to do what. I don't know what the standard protocol is going to be. I saw the name for it. It's something long that just ends in IP, something about smart home, da da da. It's nothing catchy, not a fancy name. It's just words. And that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. But all that to be said, it's important to know that Apple, Google, and Amazon have gotten together. They sat down and they said, look, it's going to be a rough world for all of the consumers if we keep this weird type of, it's not a monopoly, but it's just this weird acquisition of different types of products in the home. They said if we keep doing this, we're going to mess up our consumers, and we're going to have consumers that are living in an only Google house, or an only Apple supported house, or an only Amazon supported house. So it's super important to me that these three companies are able to make this protocol and say, look, we're going to try to start working towards this. It's going to be a little rough to get there, but for the future of smart home technology and for the future market of smart home technology and the business side of it, this is spot on where it needs to be. And honestly, it's a little late. Developing a smart home protocol for how all these products are able to communicate over the internet and over networking and Wi-Fi and local connection and communication, it's a little late, but I'm happy to see it. That was the big announcement. That was, it's kind of a big deal because it kind of changes how I'm going to have to talk about things on here because, I mean, again, technology is ever changing and that's okay. But, yeah, I just wanted it to be, I wanted to note that that was a thing It doesn't mean anything right now directly for you, specifically with your smart home that you're building, but it might tell you that maybe you need to wait a little bit. And maybe you want to see what kind of innovation takes place in the next 3 to 6 months. But let me tell you, it's rough to wait on innovation sometimes. Because it never stops, and you'll feel like you're always going to be waiting until basically forever. So just keep that in mind. Boom, boom. I've spent so long on things I didn't want to spend as long on. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you for spending the time on not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 episodes of Automated. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Cody.Vaught on Facebook, Cody.Vaught on Instagram, Cody_Vaught on Twitter, CodyVaught5 on TikTok. There's things on Pinterest. What else is going on out there in the world? This is pushed to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. iTunes is gone. Apple Podcasts. Oh, what else we got going on? TuneIn. You can enable the TuneIn skill on your Alexa device, and you can say, "Hey, Echo, play Automated by Cody Vaught." Hopefully, I think that's possible right now. I'm totally telling you something that I may not know, because I've not tried it. Try it. Try listening to this podcast on your Alexa device. And find me on the social medias and tell me if you were able to do it or not. That would be cool. Social media. Share with your friends. If you know somebody that may or may not be getting a smart home related gift this year for Christmas, maybe you could tell them about this podcast. Maybe you could share this podcast with them and say, "Hey, I know that this whole smart house thing is kind of crazy, and you're not too sure about this whole internet thing in your house right here. But, there's this guy that just talks about, his silly adventures with trying to use all his plastic crap and make it into something cool. And maybe he can help you." So tell your friends, tell your fam. Let them know that there's a podcast that they can listen to now. They can listen to it in a week. They can listen to it in a year. You'll always be able to come back and listen to this on any of the places that you can find podcasts. So yeah, share with your fam. Tell them about Smart House stuff. Make some new traditions. Maybe you make a new tradition by getting a new Smart House product for Christmas. Something like that. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Christmas, everybody. Christmas is right around the corner at the time of recording this. And hopefully you're able to spend awesome time with your family and socialize and do all the cool things that come along with the holiday season. This will be the last podcast of 2019, so I'm looking forward to coming back in 2020. Wow. That is intense. For the new decade. A new decade will come a new podcast. A new podcast for, I don't know what it's going to be about yet. We'll talk about it for sure before it happens. But stay tuned to social media to keep track of what is happening in the name of new episodes, videos, and blog posts and stuff like that. You can find information about this podcast on automatedblogcast.com. Navigate the website, find the title of this podcast episode, and then find notes. You can actually find notes to each episode within a day or two, not a day, I don't wait that long, within a couple hours after the episode is posted. You'll always be able to find the notes after the episode's posted. So, automatedblogcast.com. share with your friends, find notes on there, support the products that create awesome smart homes. In the big picture, that supports this podcast and enables awesome things to happen. I'm looking forward to our first guest in 2020. I don't know who it's going to be. It's not scheduled, but I know that in 2020, I will have a guest on this podcast. It's going to happen. It will happen. All right. I didn't want this podcast to be this long, but I think that it may be the longest episode that I've ever created so far, and I'm kind of okay with that. Hopefully you are too. If you made it this far, thank you. If not, maybe I'll see you on the next one. But thanks, everybody. I'm going to get off of here, and I'm going to go do some typical Monday things because today is a Monday. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Happy Christmas. I will see you in the new decade. Bye, everybody.